name is Sheridan Ruth, and I am here to welcome you home. This is the Exposed Podcast. Where we reveal the body-based ways to ease anxiety, heal trauma, and create an empowered connection with love and money using nervous system regulation and a healthy dose of self-compassion. Hello, my name is Sheridan Ruth, and today we are talking about money. Money. We're talking about the emotional and physiological aspects of receiving, holding, and circulating more money, even if you're not motivated by it. This journey of money is something that I've been on now for a while. Let's be honest, I've been working and receiving money for probably over half of my life, and I had to look at I looked at the date and the year. I was like, what year is it? How old am I? Over half of my life. And it's really curious. I'm sharing this with you from the perspective of somebody who's not particularly motivated by money, and somebody who has gone through living in real scarcity below the poverty line, experiencing a lot of poverty in my environment, as well as a lot of wealth and a lot of abundance and a lot of money. And I'm going to be pulling on energetical, spiritual aspects, as well as physiological, body-based stuff, like always. I want you to think of this podcast, or this video if you're watching it, as a little bit of a mini masterclass, not a mini masterclass, like a really good masterclass. I have a lot of points that I'm going to be making, and I want you to think of it as a masterclass. So what I really mean is, like, get out your notepad, get out your notes app or something, and write down the things that stand out to you, and write down your own thoughts and your own feelings and experiences around what I'm asking, what I'm sharing with you. And I say this because I'm sharing my experience of it and my understanding of it based on my experience, my studies, my people that I've worked with. It's really pull a lot on people that I've worked with, but your experience is going to be super unique to you. And what I'm more interested in, instead of kind of like this 6-step framework and map of how to do this, it's how do you do it? And in order to understand how you will receive and hold and circulate more money, even if you're not motivated by it, we need to understand how you relate to the theory and the experiences and the opinions and the philosophy that I am sharing with you. So grab your phone, grab your Google Doc, grab your notepad or your journal, and write down stuff as you listen to me. Pause if you need to, and go ahead. Okay, so let's get into it. What we're going to begin to understand about money is that money is the primary exchange of resources in our society. What we're really talking about here is resources. And if we lived in a society where we exchange sticks, I would be talking to you about sticks, but we don't. We live in a society that exchanges money. And so we're talking about money. But I want you to start thinking about money as it's just an exchange of resources. It's just the way that we measure energy in a way, and resources. And these resources relate directly to the nervous system because it's resources that we need to keep us safe, to keep us surviving, and that give us this real embodied sense of I have a right to be here, it's safe for me to be here, and I'm protected, and I'm going to be okay. It is also very directly connected to the root chakra. If we look at it from a chakra or an energetic perspective, I'm not going to get super deep into the chakra system. But if you are familiar with it, we're talking about all of the themes of the root chakra. Really, all of my work does. It's your relationship with the physical world around you, your tribe, your ancestors, etc. The way that energy runs through your body in relation to these things. And so the understanding that we're coming to through this is that you have an attachment to resources, aka money. And the end goal isn't not to think about it. Instead, it's to create a sense of safety and a feeling of I am looked after around it. So think about your attachment to your loved ones. Some of you might know that you can have a really, really secure attachment, and a secure attachment is in essence just this embodied sense of the person I love will sometimes feel really close and connected to me, and that's safe to be intimate with them. And this same person will at some times be further away from me. We will have more disconnect, and that's also safe. This is embodied sense of it's safe to ebb and flow in different varying degrees of connection and intimacy, and space is safe. If you do not feel that way about your loved one or about money, so it doesn't really feel safe to have lots of money, and it doesn't really feel safe to not have any money, then you probably have more of an insecure attachment to money. If you're the type of person who feels kind of like anxious around money, this is very simplified in my masterclass Financially Fierce, and including in my one-on-one coaching from now going forward, we cover this much more in depth. But in essence, if you have a more anxious relationship around money, meaning that maybe you're worried it's going to go away, you want to really keep it with you, you don't want to spend it, even though you have money, you still feel nervous about it, you still want to control it, that's a sign that there's maybe a little bit of work to do here around it. On the flip side, if you have more of an avoidant relationship with money, so you kind of, so this is the one that I always I like pulling you guys out on this. Some people think that the goal is to have so much money that you don't need to think about it. But that's actually this tricky little avoidant strategy in place. It's like, I don't want to think about it. I want to have so much and live below the number that I'm earning, because then I don't have to think about it. Because can you feel that? It's like, I don't really want to think about it. Like, I want to have heaps of it, but it's because then heaps of it will let me not think about it. You want to ignore it, and the method to ignore it is to have lots of it. You want to not have it in your mind's eye, and therefore you think, I'm going to have so much that I don't actually need to confront it. That's the strategy that we're using to avoid. Avoidance can also manifest as like not having it, just not having it, or going into debt, or just not having awareness around your money. So if I asked you, like, how much money do you have in the bank right now, you probably couldn't answer me. If I said to you, what is your budget for things, you probably couldn't answer me. If I said, when's the last time you looked at your statement, you probably couldn't answer me. And I do have another podcast. It is podcast number, let me have a look. I think it's podcast number 8. I'm looking. Podcast number 9, with the unexpected connection between money and your nervous system, where I do go deeper into this. So if you're interested in what I'm saying, you can dive deeper into podcast number 9, go and add it to your list or download it right now. But let's continue. So what we're really looking for is to create an attachment with money where we feel safe spending it, i.e. circulating it, holding it, having more, and receiving it, receiving more. And there are a couple of things that stop us from doing that. It might be One, there's your body's attachment to it. And in some ways, this is subconscious. Some of the most common subconscious beliefs that are a barrier to making more money, or let's just say changing your relationship with money, because I think most of you are coming to this with a different perspective. Some of you might be like, I want to hold more money. A lot of you are going to be like that. Some of you might actually not need to hold more money. Some of you might actually need to get better at spending it. We'll talk about that more in a second. So changing your relationship with money, let's use that. There's a subconscious element that is manifested through the body, and some of the most common beliefs that are barriers to changing your relationship with money are, number one, I don't know how, like I'm helpless. Other people can have heaps of money. Other people can feel good like this. Like I have no idea. This is information that is external to me. I don't know. Number two, it's not possible. It's hopeless. It's just not like the way that I want my relationship with money to be. It's not possible. My dreams of resources, it's not possible. I can't have the house. I can't have the career. I can't have, it's not possible. Or I'm worthless. So others can do it, but I can't. I don't really deserve it. Money makes me a bad person. I don't feel good because XYZ is better, and therefore I can't receive it. I can't hold it. I can't anything. Usually worthless is like definitely more related to actually receiving more of it. Like I'm not valuable enough to receive this. And logically we know that we are. But does your body know that you are? Does your body know that you do know how and that knowledge lies within you? Do you know that? Does your body know that it is possible to have the things that you desire? Does your body know how wonderful and beautiful and powerful you are, and how much you do deserve the resources that you desire? Does your body know this? These are some of the questions that we begin to answer when we embark on this financially fierce journey. So we have this wealth embodiment journey, or whatever it is. We have the subconscious manifested through the body, and we have survival. So this is real nervous system stuff. It's how like your body has a relationship to resources and money, because that's what helps it survive. That's what helps it keep you in the tribe. That's what helps it buy food, have a roof over your house. It's what helps it survive. When I was a kid, I grew up in a small city in Australia, and we're very, very sheltered. And I don't think I'd ever really seen true homelessness. And when I went to Hong Kong, when I was, I think, about 12, I remember walking through the streets in Hong Kong, like center of Hong Kong. It must have been like downtown. It was super busy, and I'm like this short girl from the bush capital of Australia, and where everything is super spread out. And I'm walking through this super busy street. I was so overwhelmed that I saw an individual, a man, on the street, and he was obviously very ill. He had some type of skin disease. And, it was all over him, and it was confronting. And I saw him begging, and I saw so many other people begging, and I saw so much homelessness. And from that moment, like, I became so petrified, because that was the first time that I really realized that money is what gives you a home, and I think my body knew that probably forever. It knows things longer than I consciously know them, but that's when it really stuck. It was like, oh, money is important, because if I don't have money, then you don't have a house. That's serious. And that was when I became consciously aware of it. But your body is always aware of that. Your nervous system is always asking that question of, do I have enough resources to survive? Right now, in this moment, in the bigger picture, do I have enough resources to survive? It's always doing this mathematics almost on your behalf, and it's automatic. You're not thinking about it, but it is. Then we have the energetic relationship with money. Money is the primary exchange of resources or energy. We exchange money as a representation of the energy exchange that goes when you create goods and exchange them for something else, or when you give a service and exchange it for something else. It's just the representation of it. And there is this energetic relationship that we have with the world, and therefore money. This energetic relationship is also the one that you have with your spirituality or your religion, if you have one. And while today isn't that's not the focus of today, it is something that I would put under this realm. This is energetic relationship that you have going on all of the time with money. We will talk about it a little bit in a moment. And so we have this bodily experience, the subconscious, the survival, the energetic going on automatically all the time. And then we have our conscious relationship with it. The conscious relationship is kind of the story that you tell yourself. Sometimes it's the thoughts that you have, but it's almost like your current identity of it, or what you think your identity is. And this is where it gets so funny and curious, because sometimes, most of the time, our conscious relationship doesn't actually add up to our subconscious relationship. Sometimes we kind of tell ourselves stories that are really beautiful and super supportive, and sometimes they just don't add up with what's going on kind of under the hood, right? Doesn't mean that we've done anything wrong. It's just that that's the way that the mind works. There's always the way that we believe that things are and the way that they are. And no, I'm not trying to say this to kind of scare you and like something is going on underneath you and there is a problem we need to fix. Absolutely not. It's just that our goal, probably throughout the rest of our life, is always going to be to shine more of a light on the subconscious and get to know more of what's going on beneath the shadows. You have a portion of the picture at the moment in your conscious mind, and that's beautiful and wonderful and super helpful. And there is always something going on underneath the shadow. Doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's dangerous, doesn't mean that it's, gonna haunt you. It's not this dirty thing. It's just, oh, okay, there's something else going on here. And a lot of what goes on in that shadow does come back to beliefs, your subconscious beliefs around money, around who you are, around the nature of society and the world. But it's not enough to just work through these beliefs or these limiting beliefs. You need an embodied experience with the new reality that you are creating that reinforces beliefs that are empowering. So coming back to the top, if we have this subconscious belief of, I don't deserve more resources, or I don't know how to make more resources, we need to create an embodied experience where you see yourself as wildly deserving of resources and receive them. We need to create an embodied experience of you consciously noticing how you actually do know how to change your relationship with your money. And I'd say an embodied conscious experience, because it needs to happen both on a conscious level that you can sit and say, look, that's what that is, and an embodied level. We need to get the mind and the body on board so that we can now have coherence and congruence between the two and get them working towards the same goal. And so Some of this is beliefs work, some of this is energetics, some of this is survival and self-regulatory work. It all kind of intertwines together. But it is particularly important to have this body-based experience around money because of how deeply related to survival and belonging it is. I honestly have no idea how people have changed their relationship with money without involving the body. I'm sure that they've done it, possibly. I actually don't believe that they have. I think that they have used the body in different ways, but I don't think that anyone is consciously has ever just like done it without the body. You have to use the nervous system. So now that we have this information and you're listening to me here, let's do it consciously and save you a lot of time, money, and effort, and change your life and kind of accumulate more. Think of it as like compound interest. The earlier we begin to do this work, the more you will benefit on it, because each day you will be building on the benefit of the last day. You'll have more of a compound beneficial experience the earlier you begin this. Just like if you put $1 in the bank when you're 12, and if let's say that you pull it out at 50, you're going to have more money at 50 compared to if you were to put that $1 in the bank at 30 and every day you're earning interest on it, you're going to have less money at 50 years old because you just haven't been earning interest on it for such a long period of time. I want you to begin this work today so that you can accumulate more benefit and probably definitely more wealth by the time that you get to whichever age you want. Maybe it's going to be 50. So I got a couple of questions around this that I want to answer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my notes. We're going to move through the questions and I'm going to give you some practices and some homework that you can get doing now, and then you can join us in Financially Fierce to do more of the embodiment somatic practice and then follow up on questions and ask me questions and actually receive a little bit of coaching. So, do you need to expand your nervous system or regulate it to have more money? I like this question. I see a lot of people saying, yeah, you need to expand your nervous system to have more money, or you can only have more money if you have a regulated nervous system. And honestly, it's just not true. Like it's not true. You're going to be so deeply dysregulated and make lots of money. It probably will feel pretty shitty and you will be sacrificing other things, but sometimes your dysregulated nervous system is actually going to serve you, because if you are anxious because you can't pay rent, I want you to be anxious. I want your body to put you into that fight mode, and I want you to go out there and get something done. I want you to use your body's intelligence that's saying, red alert, we need to do something about this for your benefit. Your body is smart. We want you to be in a safe place. So no, you don't have to have a regulated nervous system, but there are a lot of benefits of doing it. There are a lot of benefits of having a regulated nervous system as you pursue more money. It's going to be more sustainable. It's going to be easier, relatively easier. You're going to do it in ways that don't sacrifice your health and your relationships. So let's do it. Also, so how do you receive, hold, and circulate more money? I want you guys to think about this word, spanda. In Sanskrit, the word spanda is the Sanskrit word for pulse. And so it's this understanding that the universe is consistently expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. Your relationship with money will do exactly the same. It will expand, you'll have more. It will contract, you'll have less. It will expand, it will contract. It will expand, it will contract. And when you have a secure relationship with it, you can stay easeful and calm and intelligent and curious and compassionate and resourceful through its expansions and its contractions. Through its expansions and its contractions. That's my goal for you to become so resilient and secure and self-trusting that you can trust yourself with an expansion just as much as you can trust yourself with a contraction. Part of this is understanding that it is a relationship, and just like in any other relationship, there must be an exchange. If there isn't a fair exchange, there is going to be friction, tension, resent, and the quality of your relationship is going to deteriorate. For example, you know, if I always do the dishes in my house and my partner doesn't do something of equal value to support me, it might be the dishes, it might be something else, very quickly I begin to experience friction in the relationship. And there's a lack of fair exchange. And so if you are looking to receive more money, you have to be aware of what you are exchanging with money. It's very easy to look at that as your exchange of a service, sharing a service with the world, sharing a good with the world, like a product of some sort. But it's not just that. It's the quality of your exchange. It's the quality of the relationship. So think about the way that you treat money and your exchange with money at the moment. Like, how do you treat it? Do you get excited when money arrives? Probably. Do you try not to think about it? Try to have enough so you don't have to think about it. Try to avoid your bank accounts. Try not to think about your plans or your desires regarding money. Do you complain when it leaves? Do you get frustrated when you have to pay bills? Do you get bitchy when you have to pay somebody back, or I don't know, buy a new pair of jeans? Do you judge people that have it? Or do you judge people who don't have it? Think about your relationship with money. If you treated your best friend that way, would they still be friends with you? Would you be friends with somebody who treats you the way that you treat money? I know that I asked myself this question maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and I was like, oh, I really wouldn't be my friend. And I noticed, and this, I find it like there can be two true things. Sometimes our relationship with money is mirrored in our romantic relationship, and sometimes it's the complete opposite. I like to think of it as kind of like you're mirroring or you're counterbalancing. But for me personally, I asked myself this question 5 or 6 years ago, and I was the person who was complaining about my exchange for money. I complained about my job at the time. I thought it was the worst. I was so annoyed. No matter how much I got paid, I was like, oh, this job is the worst. It was not a good match for me, but I was just very complaining about it. And I also complained whenever money left me. I would get annoyed about having to spend money on things. And then I noticed that the more comfortable I began to feel with Andres, I complained when he left as well. It didn't matter how much time we spent together and how amazing it was. When he had to leave, I was all of a sudden this very ungrateful being. And I was annoyed and I was frustrated and I would kind of pout and I was like bitter about it. And I realized, and I have that tendency, I still fall into it sometimes. And it deteriorates the quality of relationship with Andres, and I see it because he starts to feel very uncomfortable. It's like, well, that's kind of like we're leaving on this bitter end. The energy of money feels the same way. It doesn't want to leave on the bitter end with you. It wants you to be grateful that it entered into your life and excited to see it again soon. Let me just drink some tea. So I wrote down some prompts for you to get curious about your relationship with money. And I want you to think of a goal. I want you to think of a goal that you have with money. Maybe it's like, and try to get as specific as you can. It could be a numeric value of money. I want to make $10,000, or I want to get a raise for XYZ. It could also be something like, I want to get a promotion, or I want to buy a house, or something that's related to money and resources. Okay, now that you've got that, I want you to finish this sentence without thinking. Not looking for the answer that your logical mind gives you, but instead kind of letting the answer almost like bubble up from your body. The question is, I do not want to insert goal because then I will. For example, I do not want to earn $10,000 because then I will. Just write out the first thing that comes up. What emotions enter? What thoughts? What sensations? This is us getting really curious about your relationship with money and where the weak spots are, where the points of resistance are, where the tension is. Okay, next one, using the same goal. I can't insert goal because, do the same thing. Notice what emotions, what thoughts, what sensations appear. What's the story that you're telling? Now, whatever you wrote down, your job is to move through that story or that resistance or that emotion. That's where your work begins. If you join Financially Fierce, we will move through this. You might already have some tools, but this is really where the work begins. Something else that relates to how to receive, hold, and circulate more money is more money equals more sensations and new sensations. So it's not just more importantly, it's new, right? So you might be, your ability to be with the sensations of your new money story determines your ability to change the story. Right now, you might be used to sensations of scarcity and struggle. You're used to that experience. It's been around for a while. Your body has acclimatized itself to it. If you would like to move into more wealth, you are going to need to acclimatize to the sensations of wealth. I like to think of this as priming your nervous system for the new reality. If you are used to the sensations of hoarding money, you are going to want to neutralize the sensation of spending money and remembering that it will always come back to you. The thing is, you're good at holding sensation. You're doing it. You probably just want to change the type of sensation that you're holding. This isn't just about getting better at holding a certain amount, a bigger capacity of sensation, but that may be a part of it and probably is a part of it. It's about changing the sensation that you're already holding. That's the how. We do an embodiment practice around this in Financially Fierce. That is the focus of this embodiment masterclass workshop. So I'm excited to share that with you. You will find the link in the show notes below. before that, let's answer the question of what to do when you are not motivated by money. Like I said, this has been my experience, and I've still managed to make lots of money, money to keep me happy. And I think more importantly, I've still managed to have a really empowered relationship and secure relationship with money. I'm not going to stand here and be like, I made myself a millionaire. Like I haven't. That would be lying. And I don't think that's not the goal for me. And it probably isn't the goal for you, or you may not have chosen this, or it might be at one stage, but not in the next couple of months. Okay. We're starting where we start. So if you're not motivated by money, I want you to start thinking that, remember, money is an exchange of resources and energy. It's not about the cash dollars. It's about what the money means to you. This is true even if you are motivated by money. It's about what it means to you, more importantly, your body. So start thinking about, what does it actually mean to you? What does motivate you? What would you do if you received $10,000 today? Like literally sit in that for a second. If I got that text message right now that told me that it had been deposited into my bank account, where would I spend it? And what if it was 100,000? What would you spend that on? Feel that for a second in your body. I'd actually be super curious to know what your answer is. So if you would like to DM me that on Instagram, I think it would be really fun to receive your answer. I would love that. Yeah, let me know. Another question. What would change if you felt safe to let money accumulate? Assuming you don't already. Or if you allowed it to accumulate more, what would change in your life? What would you do? How would you feel? How would it change how you relate with the world, with your thoughts, with others, with your career, with your purpose, with your family? What would change? And what would you do, or how would you spend your money if you knew and trusted that circulating it was safe, and that it is always returning to you, multiplied? Start thinking about those things. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear your dreams. And coming back to what we spoke about before, the belief of it's not possible, or it's not possible for me, or I don't know how, is simply a belief. It's not a truth. It is possible, and you don't have to actually believe that it is for it to be possible. You just have to be open to it possibly being possible and take the next step in belief and in courage and in confidence. Another question that I received was, how do you create a relationship with money when you don't really have any? So this comes back to the questions that we just spoke about a little bit, and the understanding that it is not cash dollars, it is energy and it is resources. So look at how you feel when you create exchanges. Look at the sensations, the emotions, the thoughts. Look at the sensations right now of not having money, and lean into the sensation of how it feels to say, I don't have any money. What's your relationship with that? How are you holding those sensations? And then the opposite, how do you relate, and how can you prepare yourself to hold more? How can you acclimatize yourself to holding, even if it's just looking at how you feel holding $2 in your bank account, you're still holding that $2. And when you can feel really good holding that $2, then you will become more ready to hold $4, and then $6, and then $60, and then $600, and then $6,000, and $60,000, and then $600,000, and then moving on, moving forward, and understanding that it's a spanda and it will pulse, meaning that it will expand and it will contract, and it will expand and it will contract. And if you find yourself where you're like, I'm holding a little bit less than I would like to, you might practice and say, okay, how can I find my safety and my secure attachment to holding less and trust that it will come? Flip of the coin is, how can I trust that it's safe to hold more if I'm holding more at the moment? And also know that it will diminish at one point, and that that's safe, because it will also expand later on. And that me holding more doesn't mean anything about me, just like me holding less doesn't mean anything about me. I think that's important, understanding your identity through it all. And the last note is that it's important to have what I call a money date. This is not a new phenomenon. People have spoken about this. I'm sure if you pop it into Google, you'll find heaps of how to have a money date with yourself. But essentially, what I want you to start doing is start getting really curious about your money, start exploring it. Where am I spending it? How am I relating to it? And I'm not going to teach you how to create the spreadsheet to do this. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to teach you is how to have a money date with your body and with your nervous system and money. And that is so important, to sit down, stand up, but to be present with, how do I feel in relation to money? What is my relationship with money? And that might look like writing down all the questions that I've just asked you in this, that you'll probably find in the show notes, because I will type them out, and sitting with them once a week, saying, okay, what has been my relationship with money this week? How can I prepare myself for it? Inside of Financially Fierce, we will go through a somatic practice or two, at least, for your money dates, to prepare you for your new money story. Could be holding more, could be receiving more, could be circulating more. But the somatic practice that we do and that you learn will prepare you exactly for that. And it will become a part of your money date, and it will transform your relationship with money, so that you can have the business that you want, so that you can have the job that you want, so that you can serve the people that you want, so that you can prioritize your family or your plants or your cats or your freedom and your desires. Now is a time to change your relationship with money. And it doesn't mean that you have to be starting from this place where your relationship with money is awful and bad, even though you might be, and you're welcome as well. But Financially Fierce, and in my one-on-one and all of these offerings that I have for you, it's here to bring more ease and more pleasure in your life, and it will serve you if you're starting from scratch and in real scarcity, just as much as if you are starting feeling somewhat secure and empowered, and you want more security and more empowerment and more ease. I meet you in your body, and your body meets you where you are. And I cannot wait to do this work with you. Find the link below in the show notes for Financially Fierce. If you're listening after our live date, you will find more information below about what else you can join me in. Sending you lots of love, lots of empowerment, and a really, really secure and just pleasurable relationship with money, because you do deserve it, and it is possible. I will see you on Zoom or in the DMs or just on the internet. I don't know where I'll see you, but I'll see you. Much love. Bye. A big and special thanks to Upturned for composing this magical piece of music, and to GS Studios for mixing it. To find upturns, other tracks, or ask for your own special custom piece of music, go say hello using their contact details in the show notes.